Howdy! So this week I started recording for BTD6 War Criminals only and no War Criminals when all of a sudden this happened. I genuinely couldn't tell you why, but since this was my first War Crimes video and it was one of my first videos to begin with, there's a few things I should probably address and should probably clarify. Now this video has two purposes. One, address comments about specific monkeys or towers that I may have missed or barely didn't turn out to be war criminals, and to make a helpful infographic on which monkeys are or aren't war criminals. Firstly, for the easiest part out of the way first, let's talk about new additions, namely Sada, Sai, and the two new Paragons. Sada is not a war criminal by any means. Swords are legal, she doesn't really do anything particularly nasty that would deem her a war criminal. Sai is the first canonical child as far as I'm aware, which is a big no-no for them and the top path Alchemist, but is also just a big no-no because of its attacks causing unnecessary and prolonged suffering. For both of the new Paragons, they're obviously both war criminals. I don't think it needs to be stated that they are, but I will add that if Paragons keep on the current trend of integrating their middle path abilities into their attacks, as well as utilizing upgrades in every tree, there will not be a single Paragon that is not a war criminal. Secondly, what have I missed? There's a few towers and upgrades I just blatantly missed, and some that I was on the fence about, and some that I just didn't know have a certain attack. For the first, I have blatantly no excuse for not including Inferno Ring or Sentry Paragon. Those are both incredibly obvious, and I have a vague feeling I cut them out of the video for some dumb reason or another. On a bit of a less obvious note, Super Glue is also up there since I entirely forgot that it does damage against balloons, and possibly Glue Storm if you want to stretch that out. And for less obvious notes, I forgot about a few monkeys with certain projectiles. For example, Archmage and Apache Prime. Although I can still excuse Apache Prime, Archmage I cannot. Gandalf goes to jail. Thirdly, for more controversial picks or exclusions, Sarabamba and Ground Zero were both not included because despite being literal fucking nuclear bombs, our world is a terrible place and nuclear bombs for whatever reason are still not entirely outlawed. There's definitely a case to be made though, so I'm not surprised it's the upgrade that's brought up the most. So I guess you decide, there's cases on both fronts. There's also a case to be made for caltrops. Although its last extensive usage was in World War II, it hasn't been brought up much since. Depleted plutonium, as many people have brought up, acts as a direct parallel to depleted uranium or plutonium, both of which are illegal. But the reason that I included plutonium is that it's the chemical that is used to create balloons and can be harvested by popping balloons. It's a chemical that has hardly ever been elaborated upon, and only recently have we gotten the mind-altering news that plutonium can have different colors, which helps us in absolutely no way. So yeah, if Ninja Kiwi expands upon it more, you can probably deem this legal or illegal. But for the time being, you can either deem it legal, illegal, or you can go the extra mile and pretend that you're shooting balloons with bullets coated with their own flesh. It's kind of fucked, you shouldn't do that, but as we've established, I can't really stop you. A lot of people mentioned this specific profile picture, not only in the War Crimes video, but the No Monkeys video, which although adorable, and I love it, comes from an avatar competition entry that literally has the title of probably not canon but ... Fourthly, an extremely hyper-specific segment called Davey makes jokes or is generally confused and didn't really bring up a point because he was too busy being a jokester. Yes, sacrificing civilians to God is illegal. Although if you're a disgrace to humanity, you can technically get this tower without doing that, but you're still a terrible person. I've learned that Bernie stuff means the upgrade, which, to be fair, is poor wording. Spice Islands and Lotus Islands are both based on real-world locations, which, again, to be fair, isn't applicable in this case. Hot Rangs is a war crime because I was too busy outlawing Australia. Necromancy does count as desecration of the remains, so it is illegal ×2. Yes, I know the phoenix is a phoenix. The animal abuse part was a joke. I started working with NordVPN since I made that video, so I guess that shitty call to action kind of worked. And most importantly, there's been a few 190 IQ individuals who watch Rick and Morty and play Among Us who say that this video shouldn't exist because it's a dumb game with monkeys popping balloons at excessive speeds. And do you know what, Rick and Morty fan 2009? You are entirely correct. Good job. That's the point of the entire fucking video. If you're gonna sit down on your fucking parents' iPad and type down, "Oh, you're an SJW for digging too deep into Bloons tower defense," please, I beg of you, do your fucking math homework. I know multiplication is hard, but you're gonna get through it, trust me, I'm with you. Tangent aside, however, I do have to say there are a lot of liberties I took with this video. There are some things that either don't have a real world equivalent, is technologically leaps and bounds beyond what we currently have, and there's some things I just kinda had to go with a gut instinct on. And lastly, if there's any other questions you have, feel free to comment below. I'm not legally obligated to respond, but I might. And lastly, here's a slideshow of every monkey with a war crime rating of 100% a war criminal, can easily become one, could potentially be one under the right circumstances and not a war criminal. If there's a specific monkey you're curious about, timestamps will be in the description, as well as on the side if YouTube does that cool chapter thingy, which it should. If it doesn't, just look in the description. Alright, and as always, stay frosty my friends. Here's a slideshow for the ages. Have fun.